Played them in the past. Our first guest tonight. He knows all about beating Colorado State. His Cougars pounded the Rams 52-9 in 1984. He rushed for 48 yards and a touchdown and had 6 receptions for 93 yards and 2 more touchdowns. It's a pleasure to welcome national champion Kelly Smith to the Wise Guys from his home in St. George, Utah. Kelly, we see ya. It's great to have you on the Wise Guys.
Well, I hope you can hear me because who knows?
Yeah, we got you.
No, we got you. We got you.
You got me.
Hey, what do you remember from that day 40 years ago against Fort Collins? Were you just feeling it against the Rams?
Well, it's interesting because it's actually, I think I had 3 touchdowns in that game. Was the first time I had 3 in a game, and it was just one of those things. Everything worked out. I had a halfback out and up that I scored a long touchdown. I scored on a long run. Just, I don't know, things were working, and it's just nice that I got to be involved.
Hey, Blaine, you were involved in that game. 12 of 19, 138 yards, and a touchdown, but you did not throw a touchdown to Kelly.
No, because everybody else was begging me, and Kelly got his fair share. So, and then Kelly already scored 3 touchdowns like in the first quarter, so he got a little rest in that game. But, you know, BYU's former offensive line coach, Kelly, Daryl Funk, reminded me, because he played at Colorado State during those days, and he was a D lineman that year. And he said, yeah, Blaine, what you probably don't remember is that you and I played against each other a lot, because I was a starter and you were the backup, and when you guys played us, you beat us so bad you played a lot and I was still in there. That's a good thing, right?
Hey, the only reason Blaine wasn't a starter for the whole year was about 2 inches, right, Blaine?
Yeah, that's probably true. Probably true. I appreciate that, Kelly.
And Blaine would have been a starter. I mean, they were that close. It could have been either way.
Hey, this is the 40th anniversary of the 1984 National Championship team. Does it feel like yesterday, or does it feel like 40 years ago?
You know, in some ways it feels like yesterday, in other ways it feels like a long time ago. It's just when I get out of bed sometimes in the morning, my knees ache. It feels like a long time, but no, it went fast. If I could relive it and go back 40 years and redo it all again, I would.
You know, Kelly, when we get together, and we got to get together to film a documentary about that 1984 season just here a month or so ago, when we get together, then it feels like it wasn't that long ago, doesn't it? When you get together with the guys, what's that like when you get together with the teammates, and what's the feel? That's
the funnest part for me, is to see everybody and just kind of the memories that come back, and some of the games and just some of the things we did together. And it does seem like it was just yesterday. And to me, I look back, even though we won it all, I mean, the funnest memories are the things we did off of the field, just with the families, or, you know, husbands and wives, and hanging out and doing things like that. So, you know, that was as fun for me to see everybody up at that 40-year reunion thing that we did as it was 40 years ago.
There's going to be a lot of special treatment around this anniversary this season, including with the Deseret News and a big to-do there putting together, which both of you were involved in, BYU TV, and, of course, the football stadium. What do you want today's BYU fan to appreciate the most about 1984?
You know, it may never happen again. BYU may never go undefeated, and that was a big deal. To start the season unranked and then to finish the season 13-0 and the only undefeated team. I mean, you need to appreciate those type of things. There's been a few years that they've been close, maybe had 1 loss or even 2, and there's been a lot of good teams go through BYU, but it's a hard thing to do, and it's going to be even tougher now that there, 16 teams in the new conference, and what'd you say, they were ranked like 13th out of the 16th to start the year. But hopefully now that BYU has the equal money and equal things going with that conference, I think they will catch up quick, and I think they'll be fine.
We have BYU National Champion running back Kelly Smith on the Wise Guys with us today, presented by Brady Plus. During that 84 season, Kelly rushed for 347 yards and 5 touchdowns. He caught 46 passes for 598 yards and 6 touchdowns. Most importantly, he scored twice to beat Michigan to complete the undefeated season. Kelly was the definition of an all-around, like, could just do anything for you in the backfield. He could have even thrown it if we wanted him to throw it.
Yeah, is that true? Could you have thrown it?
Blaine, you got to admit, I tried to get them to let me throw it, but they would always sneak you in there and throw it for me.
That was the advantage of me being a little shorter, because I look like a running back. They would put me and sneak me in and let me throw it. We did that a few times, right?
We did it 2 or 3 times that year, and I was always mad because I wanted to be able to throw it, but nope, Blaine got to come in and throw the halfback pass.
Yeah, I just saw your son Kyler the other night. I'm wondering, when you talk to your kids, about that 84 season, what moment immediately comes to your mind as the number one thought?
You know, I guess it's the last catch of the Michigan game. You know, it didn't seem like a big deal at the time, but it's always shown on TV. It's always brought up. So if people are talking to my kids, somebody will say, "Yeah, I just saw your dad catch that pass," and so that's the only thing people remember. I keep thinking I'm going to drop it one of these times, and then people won't remember it at all. But luckily, once it gets recorded that you catch it, it stays there. But that's the big thing. I know my son Kyler, a time or two, he's wore my old jerseys to ball games. He's wore my ring more than I have probably, because I don't ever wear it, because I don't even wear a wedding ring. Makes my wife a little upset. But I'd wear the national championship ring more than that, because it's harder to win a national championship it is to get married. I used to joke about that, but not really.
Yeah. Good luck with you. Probably ought to amend
hey, just
that
let me
one.
say that
40
Julie's
years.
a very patient person.
Yeah.
We're just going to say
Yes.
that.
So we're celebrating our 40th anniversary. We got married on July 13th, so that's just coming up this week, 40 years ago.
That's amazing.
And
Congratulations.
I used to joke that we were married on Friday the 13th. It was LaBelle's 13th season as head coach. Went 13-0. I had 13 touchdowns. We won the national championship. So I always say 13 was my lucky number.
That is
a pretty good
amazing.
number.
Yeah, 13's your number.
What do you got planned for Saturday?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Well, it's interesting because we're actually playing together in our first tournament, in a pickleball tournament, all night Friday night till Saturday early. So like 9:30 at night till 2:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So I'm not sure after that. So we're playing in a pickleball tournament.
I bet she's good. She's tall and long and athletic. I bet she's good at pickleball.
She's got pretty good.
Yeah.
She does a good job.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hey, Michael on the live stream from Houston listening, having survived the hurricane that's blown through with just minor damage. Best of luck to everybody dealing with that.
Down there. Wow.
In Texas. Great to have you with us on the Wise Guys as we're visiting with Kelly Smith. Let's go back to that Holiday Bowl against Michigan. You catch 10 passes for 88 yards and the game-winning touchdown. What were you doing that the Wolverines just could not figure out?
Well, what was happening is I think that they thought they could get to the quarterback by blitzing. And we had a play which we called the halfback option, 69 halfback option. Blaine could talk about that. So if they were playing me man, I could break inside or out. If they were in zone, I would just spot up. And if they blitzed, I would just run a hot arrow. And they were blitzing every single time. And it was happening so fast that we changed it. And I didn't even run an arrow. Arrow route was kind of a hot out. I just kind of turned, and Robbie just threw it to me, and I'd catch it and run for 8 or 10 yards. And so they kept blitzing, thinking that was their game plan, that they could get to the quarterback, because they didn't think I could block anybody because I wasn't that big. And we just kept throwing it, and their linebackers kept yelling at their coach saying, "What do you want me to do? You kept telling me to blitz," and they keep throwing it. So I think it was a combination of them making a mistake, thinking that they could get to us, and we just got the hot read off quick enough.
So, Blaine, you go to the line of scrimmage and you see they're about to blitz. What are you reading for this hot
Well, first
pass?
of all, we're waiting for a call from the offensive line. So, and they're going to tell us what direction they're going to block. So Kelly's going to know which way, where the hot read's going to be. So let's say Connor Pays the center. He wasn't. Ours was Trevor Match. Trevor comes up and he says, "Ringo, Ringo," meaning we're all going to block one man to the right. So if they blitz, the last guy on the left is unaccounted for. And Kelly knows that, and I know that. So we're going to, when I take my first step back from the center, and when Kelly takes his first step toward his route, we're going to both look at that guy. And if he comes, Kelly's going to almost run at him like he's going to block him and slip right by him. And before he can get to me, I'm going to dump it around or over that guy. I'm going to get it to Kelly. And because they're blitzing, there's going to be nobody in that second level to pick up Kelly. I'm going to throw Kelly a ball, for all intents and purposes, on the line of scrimmage or 1 yard downfield. Kelly's going to turn around. He's going to get 10, 12, 13 yards with that. And it was like painful for defenses that blitz us, because what we would do is we would take advantage of what the defense did. If you're going to do this, you will pay. If you're going to do that, you will pay. And with Mike Holmgren and Norm Chow and the folks that we had, they did a great job of doing that. And Kelly was in there when I was in there in that game, caught a few balls. We completed a crazy scramble, first down, where Kelly just found a spot. Whenever Kelly was one-on-one with a linebacker, it was a completion. They couldn't cover him. And Kelly, I have to tell you, we had Hinckley Ropati on the show last week, who's BYU's number one running back coming in to the fall. And I said, what's different? He goes, "Well, I don't want to give away some of the things we're doing different." And he said, I said, "No, you're not giving away." And he goes, "We've been working on a ton of halfback option routes where they're clearing out for me and letting me get isolated on backers and stuff because I love to catch the ball in the backfield. And I was like, that puts a smile on your face, doesn't it, Kelly? Because that play.
It does, because they've gone away from that. They haven't used that near as much as what we did. I mean, by the end of the year, Robbie would just come into the huddle and go, "Okay, Kelly, here we go." And everybody there knew we were on a 69 halfback option. And it was unstoppable if I made the right move and Robbie just knew, hey, he's going inside or he's going out or spotting up or just hit him hot. And I think there's 10 catches in that game. 8 of them were the halfback option. And the last one of the game was supposed to be the halfback option, hopefully to hit the tight end behind me, but they held him up. And so when Robbie scrambled, I just broke because we have scramble rules, and I was on the outside, so I just broke to the end zone, and he found me luckily. And so it still was a halfback option that turned into a broken play. And as Blaine mentioned, I think I had 2 or 3 catches almost every game from a scramble, and that was a big part of our offense. That people don't realize that there are a few rules in place for the running back and the tight end just to get open if the quarterback has to scramble.
Yeah.
And we were really good at that, and that was one of the things that we excelled in during that 1984 season.
So on that touchdown, Kelly, you run that option and you chose to go out.
Right.
And you got to the sideline, you stop up on the sideline, when you get to the sideline, when you saw Robbie stepping up inside, you're like, I got to get back in his vision. So you just turned and went up the sideline. Is that what?
Correct.
And did you have to think about that, or is that just like automatic? You know exactly where you're supposed to go?
No, it was an automatic, because we always said if you were on the outside, you broke to the end zone, and if you were inside, you cross the field so the quarterback could see in his vision. And I just broke up the sideline, and he happened to find me. So
I thought
it's part of the rule.
It's ironic that on that last play, Michigan finally put 2 guys on you. And then when they held the tight end, and that changed the play and broke it really on a broken play, and then you took off to the end zone. But they finally figured out Kelly Smith's not going to beat us on this play, and then you beat them on that play, on the broken play. So you catch the ball, you see it coming to you, you know you have to catch it. You got guys on you. I don't know if it was a great throw or not. What were you thinking when you put your hands up there, and did you even have time to think, hey, this is the winning touchdown catch?
No, I've never thought of that in any of the games. I just was, hey, this is my route. This is where I'm running. The ball comes. I better catch it. You know, I don't remember dropping too many over the years, but I just caught it. And it was a bigger deal after it was over because there was so many people hugging me, tackling me, and I don't know how many of you know Vi's Sikahema's dad, but he was in the middle. I don't know how he was in the end zone for every touchdown. But he was like the first ones there hugging me, and he's a fan. He's not even a player.
That's awesome. People may not remember how fast you were, Kelly, but you were a track star in high school down at Beaver High, set all kinds of records running track. And that's why BYU could isolate you, because you're coming out of the backfield, but you ran like in the low 4.4s, high 4.3s.
So at the pro timing date, I run a 4.38.
Yeah, there you go. So that's as fast as anybody in the country, by the way, folks.
Right. At that time, back then, that was fast. And I remember when I went to the Giants as a free agent, and I missed a few games my senior year, but one of the things that Belichick was the receiver coach, and they called me and was talking to me. And the funny thing they said is that, just so you know, you're the second fastest person we've clocked in the second fastest white kid we've clocked in the 40.
I love that he said that, right?
And I don't know what I didn't know how to respond, because I wanted to say, well, who's the fastest white kid? But they didn't say anything about the black kids. They just said you're the second fastest white kid we've clocked in the 40 at that time, and that was back in like 85. So,
and Kelly, you're being a little bit modest, because you said 4.38 was fast at that time. 4.38 is fast right now. 4.38 is fast right
in the
now.
4.2s, and now they're saying people in the 4.2s. But yeah, the 4.38 was pretty fast.
Yeah.
Brett's with us, checking in from Tulsa, Oklahoma, on our Wise Guys live stream. Former walk-on turned national champion BYU running back Kelly Smith is on the Wise Guys live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wiseguys.com. There were a lot of moments in that 84 season that made it special, including a dinner with the first presidency in the Quorum of the 12 of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the school sponsor. This prior to the bowl game. Tell us about that and what you remember on that night.
That was one of my favorite nights, because, growing up LDS, been on a mission, knowing the prophet and his counselors and things like that. But the funniest thing I remember is the night before we went, LaBelle called the whole team together, and we're all huddled up, and members and non-members alike. And he was joking, saying, now remember, this is a big deal. It's kind of like coming to my house for dinner. Make sure you're on your best behavior, you're dressed nice, and this is a big deal. And we as members knew that that's a lot bigger deal than that, but that's how LaBelle kind of come across. And then when we went, there was a table of maybe 10 or 15 set up for each quorum of the 12 member. And I remember we had, I think it was Downate Oaks. And I remember as it went around, we introduced ourselves, and he goes, oh, Kelly Smith, 21 from Beaver, you're fast. And that was just caught me off guard because I didn't know that they even knew who I was or anything about it. But he was quite avid BYU fan and went to most of the games. And he says, I'll be in Africa, but I'll be flying back for that game. He says, I'm not going to miss it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I remember interviewing Elder Holland one time, and I asked him, when you're on the road in football season, do you find a way to watch the games or listen to the games? And he said, I never miss a game. Even if I'm up at 3 a.m. on the other side of the planet, I'm listening. I never miss a BYU game.
Yeah, he still does.
They love it. And then that connection made you feel you were playing for something a little bit bigger than just the guys on the team and BYU.
It was, and it wasn't like we felt the pressure. It seemed like, who was one of the players, Blaine, that mentioned like, oh, don't let down the 10 million members of the church or something, that was joking.
Yeah.
Because they had a few of the players talk, but somebody made a comment like that. But it didn't really think that was a big deal. And we were undefeated at the time, and we're like, we didn't know if we're going to win a national championship regardless if we won or lost, because it was out of our hands. And it was probably one of the few times that a national championship had to wait 2 or 3 weeks before they ever knew what was going to happen. And so that took a lot of the fun and excitement out of the national championship for us as players and families, because it was like, oh, okay, we finally won it, instead of just celebrating on the field and showing us the trophy and doing all that like they do now. It was just a big, different deal, and we're just lucky that they actually still voted for us.
Yeah, there was, when you were telling the story of going to that dinner and Lavelle's talk the night before, I remembered something that he said. I just remembered this. He's like, guys, I'm talking about Sunday best. And he goes like, so you guys from Idaho, no bib overalls. That's what he said.
Exactly what he said.
He would always have these little subtle dry ways, just like, you guys from Idaho, no bib overalls up to meet the first presidency, please. So
he did say that. That was awesome.
Kelly, what has it been like being number one, being a national champion, even those years ago? What has it meant to you in your life?
It's meant a lot, just because a lot of people like to bring it up and talk about it. And I got a lot of Utah fans and a lot of BYU fans, and it's kind of fun because we can tease the Utah fans. I mean, it's probably funner for me to tease them, that we won it, because they get so upset that, just let it go, BYU. It's been 40 years and all that. And it's a tough thing to do. I still like to tease them every time I see him, because I got a friend that's he goes nuts about how great Utah is every year, and I just have to tease him that, now, how many national championships have you guys won? and it really upsets him. He goes, well, how many Rose Bowls have you won? And then I tease him. I say, wait a minute, I think you've lost the last couple Rose Bowls.
Yeah, they haven't won any of those.
Yeah,
I know. It's just one of those fun things, and
sure.
It's back when we first moved here to St. George, and they were replaying every game from the national championship season. It seemed like every year they played them 3 or 4 times. And I remember 2:30 in the morning once I get a phone call, and that's before cell phones. And one of the guys in my ward, hey, I'm watching the BYU National Championship. I just wondered if you're watching it. And I'm thinking, why would I be watching that at 2:30 in the morning? I played the game. I don't care to watch it again. And he's just like, they get so caught up into it that was just a big deal. They had to call me and tell me he was watching it. But, it's just fun. There's not as many of the younger people know about it. It's still a lot more of the older generation that's knows how big a deal it was. The young ones are like, what's BYU done lately? And and it's not the same for them.
Kelly, you've had such you're a great player, integral part of a national championship, and then you went on and coached. A lot of people don't realize you coached for a number of years with Croshaw down at Dixie State, back when it was Dixie State before it was Utah Tech. Had to recruit, had to play. You guys played at the highest level, competing for national championships back in those days. So you come from a big knowledge base of not only having played but coached, and you have a vested interest in this BYU program. Now, you watched them last season. You stay close to it. What do they need to do to take a step forward this year, and then to continue to take steps forward to be able to compete at this level in college football in a P5 league?
I think you've mentioned it before. I think their depth is a big deal. it seems like, when we played my freshman year, what was there back then? I think 105 scholarships, and there was like 24 full ride scholarships that year, and I was one of the ones that didn't receive one, but we still had a JV program. Now there's like 85 scholarships, I think, but it seems like BYU doesn't have the depth that some of these other teams have. So if any person goes down that's an important person on the team, makes a big difference. But this NIL deal and being able to travel and to transfer every year, I think that's making it really difficult for BYU. But watching them, I've had relatives playing and things like that, and they're still a fun team to watch. I think they just need to maybe get back to what they used to do and play hard-nosed football and maybe try not to be too fancy and just run over people.
Yeah, I think that's the goal for starting
yes,
next month.
absolutely.
Run the ball, take care of it, and win some games. Kelly Smith's with us. Let's wrap this up with 5 questions. I think he's ready.
Yeah, we're going to do this. Just off the top of your head, quick as you can think of them. What's your favorite sports movie?
Favorite sports movie? Ooh, that's going to be tough. I like a lot of different sports movies, but
yeah. So what's the one that comes to mind?
I'm thinking Space Jam for him, but maybe not.
Space Jam.
not Space Jam. Definitely not Space Jam.
Dave Rice, by the way, is going to join us in just a moment. We'll plug him while Kelly's
tough
lost in
one.
thought.
I'll come back to that one. Give me another question.
Okay, your favorite singer or band, performing artist?
Oh, love the Beatles.
Beatles.
Okay, I was afraid he was going to go Taylor Swift. Your favorite breakfast cereal?
Ooh, Frosted Mini Wheats.
All right.
Thank goodness they were frosted.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, that's a good one. Okay, your favorite sports moment of all time. It's something you played. It doesn't even have to be one that you played in. Just your favorite sports moment.
Favorite sports moments. I think I'm going to go back to my high school. We were undefeated playing for the state championship, and our football coach would run it 10 times in a row. He'd sweep right, sweep left, whatever. He would never pass it, hardly ever. And he called timeout, and it's like 3rd and 6 from the 3-yard line. Got to go 97 yards. And he says, "What do you think?" And I says, "Hey, just throw the screen one time. You haven't done it ever. That's going to catch them off guard. They're not going to expect it. Throw it." He says, "No, they're going to pick it, and they're going to touchdown. They'll beat us." I say, "If I catch it, I'm going to go 97 yards. We're going to win we're going to win the state championship." And sure enough, he called it, and they came, and he dumped it kind of like the halfback option, and I went 97 yards and scored, and we ended up winning the state championship and went undefeated. And
wait, you called as a player.
I told the coach
a screen on your own 3-yard line and went 97 yards for a touchdown. That is a good moment.
Correct. And so it was just the moment was that I actually convinced the coach to call it.
That's awesome.
He would not do it.
I have a question for you about Lavelle. Used to say that he used to sing the Beaver fight song, but that wasn't really he used to sing, "I'm a beaver, beaver, whack my tail real hard."
Slap my tail real hard.
Yeah, that's not really the fight song.
Build a dam, a beaver man is what I am. But he
really
thought it was ours, but he really doesn't know where it came from. I don't know where it came from.
He made that up. Lavelle made that up.
I think he might have made it up because when I'm standing in the line at Lavelle's funeral, Patty goes, "You better be at the funeral because the fight song's coming out because one of the grandkids are going to sing that." And every time they went through Beaver, they'd sing that. So I learned the song just so that him and I could sing it together when people asked me. And I said, "What's the second verse?" He goes, "Oh, it's just easy. It's the same as the first. Just sing it again."
Second verse, same as the first. So he made up his own Beaver High School fight song, and you learned it just so you could sing it with him.
Correct.
That's
and we
awesome.
sang it together at so many different events. It was awesome.
You're a team player.
That's great. Okay, here's your last question. I had to know that one because I knew you sang that. I thought that cannot be the Beaver fight song that Lavelle sings.
It's not.
So
I've never heard it, but I have spoke at Beaver and I've sang that song. I tried to get him to learn it, and they don't.
So tell us the words once more. I'm a beaver, beaver.
I'm a beaver, beaver. Slap my tail real hard. Chew the bark and build a dam. A beaver man is what I am.
That's creative and wonderful, and that's not the Beaver fight song, but it should be.
Scoring leader at Beaver High School.
That's right. Okay, so this is the most important one of all, and you mentioned to us that it's your 40th wedding anniversary on Saturday. So what's the best advice that Julie, your wife, has ever given you?
The best advice that she's given me, or the best advice at all, is just we at least go on a date every week. Whether it's even when we were poor, we walked around the block or we did whatever. The best thing is continue to court your wife and to always do something with them at least once a week and communicate. And, I love her as much today or more than I did 40 years ago. And I have one of the best.
Words to live by.
And she's the best.
I know her well. I thought
Put
maybe
up
the best.
with me for 40 years. That's got to be something. I told her she screwed up by saying yes one time. That was her fault.
Yep.
And that was the rest is yours. That was her fault. It's been your fault ever since.
And that is great advice. The part I circled was you got to continue to court your wife.
Correct.
Even after 40 years, right?
Don't take them for granted. Make sure you're always, and I do pretty much, if she ever asks, it's like, hey, I'm doing it. I don't question. If I need to wash dishes, make beds, vacuum, you don't question, you just do it.
That's the law of good marriage. If the mom is happy, everybody's happy. We all know that rule, right?
Hey, have you come up with a sports movie yet? You'd be the first guest in the history of the show to not have one.
Your favorite sports movie? Do we need to give you some ideas?
The only one that comes to mind, I didn't mind Remember the Titans. Was
okay.
All right.
That's the number one on the show, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's the only one that's coming to my mind.
Okay, that's a good one.
Okay, we'll take that one. We'll take it. So,
all right, the Pride of Beaver High School, which is 155 miles south of Provo. Kelly Smith, look for a special edition on in the Deseret News commemorating the 1984 National Championship season.
I have a trivia question for you two.
Okay. We got this.
I think I'm still on the state records for one. I mean, my rushing yards finally got broken.
You're talking about the Utah High School state records?
Yes, I was on there for like 30 something years before, but I think it was like 2,500 yards in one season. I had 36 touchdowns. But what record am I still number one in the state of Utah? And I don't know if it'll ever get broken.
All classifications?
All classifications.
I'm going to say scoring.
Oh, you got it.
Because there's touchdowns, there's extra points.
And you kicked.
Kicked. He knew. We talked about this.
So we both knew that.
I don't know if I remember.
I had the 36 touchdowns, but I had 5 field goals and 51 extra points. And so the scoring is going to be a tough one to break because when you come from a small school, I never come off the field.
Yeah.
You kicked it, extra point, field goal.
So the record that may never be broken in the state of Utah is Kelly Smith's all-time scoring record.
Look, we're glad.
I got one more good one for you guys.
Okay.
So Steve Young's left-handed, right-footed.
Right. And golf's right-handed, which is weird.
Right. I'm right-handed and left-footed. Now, I was just watching Djokovic in tennis, and all of them were watching the soccer game going on, and he pretended he kicked the ball left-footed. And after they'd asked him, he said, well, I'm actually left-footed and right-handed. So I'm like, hey, these athletes, they must be a good athlete if you're right-handed, left-footed, or vice versa. Like Djokovic is that way, Steve Young, and myself. Are you Blaine?
No, but it's Steve's younger brother, Mike. Steve throws left and kicks right, and then Mike throws right and kicks left.
See, that's me. I throw right and kick left.
Yeah, that's messed up.
I kicked all the extra points left-footed and field goals when I was in high school.
That is crazy, and it's completely messed up, and that's why he's crazy, and that's why I love him.
Hey, congratulations on 40 years. Good luck in the pickleball tournament on Friday.
Go win that, Kelly. Go win that pickleball
Enjoy
tournament.
this 40-year anniversary national championship season. There'll be a lot to do, and you had a lot to do with it. The great Kelly Smith. Thanks for being with us.
A lot of fun. Keep it up. I'll have to start listening to you now.
Yeah, would you?
Gotta do it.
It really help. Tell your friends.
Recruit all of St. George for us, would you?
Hey, we'll do it.
Okay, brother.
Right.
Thanks, Kelly.
Okay, see ya.
Number 21 at BYU caught the game winner to beat Michigan and secure the undefeated season, win the national championship on the Wise Guys tonight.